Hi, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Dean.
And we are here at Sandhills Community College in the Hastings Gallery attached to the Boyd Library for our Reduce, Reuse, and Recycle art show.
That's right, we're artists that take things that would normally have been thrown away or cast aside and recycle them into art.
So behind us you'll see some whimsical jellyfish that I made during COVID. We also have a weaving/tapestry that I created after being inspired by our friend Brady Beck, who's a biologist and photographer.
And I like to play around with electronics, so there's a couple of things here that have a lot of electronic components in them and quite a few things that are welded from all kinds of other various metal objects that we found.
A lot of the things we made individually, but a lot of the pieces we worked on together. We work really well together making art, and we hope that you enjoy and get inspired by the things you see as you walk through with us.
That's it, and we hope you enjoy the tour.
When you first walk in, you'll see some whimsical jellyfish that were mostly made out of hats, knitted and felted bowls by our family member Lynn. They're also comprised of wire, pipe cleaners, yarn, material scraps, beads, broken jewelry, onion and avocado bags, and much more. Each is unique with special characteristics, just like their natural counterparts in the ocean. As you move around the wall, the wooden fish that started out in the jellyfish exhibit continue on this side as well. You'll also see an octopus made out of water bottles, Pepsi bottles, and other bottles given to us by friends. The body is made out of a yoga ball that blew out, and so we gave it a second purpose. We have this wonderful little fish that's full of plastic because unfortunately our oceans are full of plastic as well.
Here we have a cute little family I like to call the no pressure family, made from some gauges, a few pieces of pipe, some springs, and some other scrap metal bits. This is more stuff from yarn. They can also be flowers, not just jellyfish. This is Tennis Love. Get it? This is Nicholas Palmer. We named him after two great golfers. He is made of parts from a BMW car, motorcycle muffler, some strainers used in food service, and his feet are railroad spikes. This used to be a hairdryer turned into a lamp. It's probably from sometime in the 60s.
Dean and I discovered weaving over the last few years, and I've been making scarves like mad. One of the things you have are a lot of ends, and this wonderful warm scarf is made out of the ends of extra pieces of yarn. I've also been given quite a few buttons, so I was making necklaces as well.
Here we have a lovely blanket I made on a 40-inch rug loom that we acquired a couple of years ago. It's a Union Loomworks rug loom that we found at an antique store, and Union Loomworks was actually based in Boonville, New York, about 30 miles from where I grew up in the Adirondacks. I chose lots of pretty colors in this and did a pattern that goes from one end to the other and repeats. This is scraps left over from 3D printing, which is a really neat thing that allows us to make all kinds of wonderful gadgets and parts in a super easy way, but there is a downside to it. There's some leftover scraps, and I try to turn these into something that's fun to look at. I'd like to someday figure out a way to recycle them into more 3D printers. We're always surprised at how many milkshake machines we find in antique stores. I try to use the button that turned the machine off and on to also turn the lamp off and on. This one is a Hamilton Beach, and I believe it has two settings on it for low and high, and I use those to turn the lamp onto a low and high setting. This one is a really neat old chrome covered one. It's heavy duty as well. And here we have a gumball machine filled with ping pong balls, and inside there is a LED bulb, and you turn it off and on by rotating the coin slot thingy. This one is fun. This is a blender that has a LED bulb in it that will either flicker or stay on steady. I actually like the flicker thing because it makes it look like the blender is on blending a drink.
Dean and I are lucky in that we live among the longleaf pine forest, which is a unique and beautiful ecosystem. We're also lucky that we know someone who's a local photographer and biologist and can create these amazing images which capture how we feel about the forest. I designed and created this weaving, which then became a tapestry with these two photos by Brady Beck next to it the whole time. We hope that you enjoy this tapestry that represents the longleaf pine forest. Continuing the nature theme, we have dragonflies made out of spark plugs, we have a tree made out of fabric, and we have butterflies. Lots and lots of butterflies. The butterflies were made out of cigarette boxes because I wanted to make something beautiful out of something that was very dangerous. As we move through the butterflies, you'll see that they're clothespins and wire, but they are butterflies. Each one is unique and very special.
Here's a little bug I made from a shoe buck, an old circular saw, a pair of scissors, and what used to be some barbecue tongs.
What better use of an old rake than to turn it into a menorah? Asked Dean if he could make it, and he created it the same day. It's a wonderful use of welding skills.
A couple of years ago, we decided to make some homemade paper, which was just basically little bits of paper shredded up in a blender, add a little bit of Elmer's glue to it, and then roll it out and let it dry. This one's got some flower petals in it, it's got marigold seeds, and if you were to take this piece of paper, lay it in some dirt and cover it and water it, it would probably sprout flowers. This, I decided to try my hand at some steampunk type stuff. This is a handle from a crosscut saw, and then a bunch of little bits and bobs that came off from other devices. This is one of my favorites. It's a really neat little alien character that just sort of came together one day in the shop. I started out with the feet, and then these skate runners kind of inspired me to keep going, and before I knew it, I had this whole creature put together that really has a lot of character. This is fun and also one of my favorites. This crazy little bug that is made from some farm implement stuff. There's a pair of grass shears in here. I guess that's what they are, or just tin snips, I'm not sure which. But they still move, and that's the neat part about this one that I really do like. The feet and the body is a set of channel lock pliers, and you can actually pose them in a couple different positions too by adjusting the pliers. And here we have another one of my winged bugs based on a shoe buck. This is fun. This owl kind of came together also similar way that the alien guy did, just started laying out parts and getting ideas. The eyes are from a Coleman stove, the feet are an old potato masher, and that's a plow from a farm implement, and a basket looks like you would strain french fries in that thing. Made this for my father-in-law's fireplace. It is a fireplace grate, and it's got all kinds of things in it. There is a couple of gears from a V8 engine in there. That central piece right there is from a motorcycle. It's a brake rotor. And then there's just knives and silverware. That's a wood auger. And I'm not sure what that tool is. Haven't figured it out. And this came from a V8 engine. And there's other tools hanging up there, and some cheese graters, a hammer in the corner, and all kinds of things. Those are pieces of chain, motorcycle chain, and a C-clamp, and like I said, it's just a little bit of everything. More farm implement stuff too. And if you want to weld, there are courses at Sandhills Community College to learn how to do this. Welding is really fun. This is a rocket I threw together out of more saw blades and old fire extinguisher. Doesn't fly though. We had a whole pile of spoons and forks and knives and stuff, and got an idea to turn them into these two little guys that carry around a wine bottle while standing on a cheese grater. This is Audio Man. I originally built Audio Man as a circuit sculpture contest because inside his ribcage is a working audio amplifier, and there is a little earphone jack there on his ear, and if you plug an audio signal into that, you can adjust the volume with the knob on his other ear, and the sound comes out of his mouth on that speaker. There's his on-off switch, and he is actually anatomically correct. I used an anatomical drawing of a skeleton, measured out all the parts, and then made it to scale, and pretty much posed it in the way that it was in the book, and lo and behold, it just stands up all by itself. This was a lot of fun to build, and it's one of my prouder achievements. Earlier you saw the blanket that was made on the rug loom. Well, this is a rug made on the rug loom. It's made from 2-inch wide pieces of wool, and then they're just basically woven back and forth, and when you're all done, you end up with this pretty rug from stuff that would have been scrap. This one was just another one of those thrown together things from pieces we had, and it's unusual in that that tall section with the spring and that long rod is a piece that fell off from a chicken transport truck. They used these to hold down the crates, and Lisa found it beside the road and of course pulled over and picked it up and brought it home because she knew we would make something out of it. And so I made this little bird that we stuck on the chain, and I don't know, it's kind of like a symbolic thing of a captured bird, I guess. I don't know. We just had fun putting it together. The bottom part is an old brake rotor. I call this the selfie tower because as you walk up to it, there you are on that little TV screen. So you're taking your own selfie. It's not recording or anything, but it is pretty fun to observe. And it's made from an old portable television and pieces from a video recording camera. And I just mounted it in here all apart, hung from fishing line. And then the base is just all kinds of scrap electronics. Stuff like this gets thrown out every day. A lot of it gets recycled, but there's certainly a lot of junk that we toss out that otherwise just goes in a landfill. So here's a little bit of it that didn't end up in the landfill, and I lit up the inside of it with some red and green LEDs. We'd like to thank Sandhills Community College for giving us the opportunity to show off all of this stuff, and thank everyone who donated items, gave us items, and thank all the antique stores that we always hit up looking for so-called junk that we turn into these really fun to look at sculptures. We hope you enjoyed the tour. Thank you for coming, and take care and stay safe.